as President Donald Trump has named Mick Mulvaney, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, as acting White House Chief of Staff. Mr. Mulvaney
51.
replaces General John Kelly, who is leaving by the end of the year. In a tweet, Mr. Trump described Mr. Kelly as a great patriot who had served the country with distinction. But earlier this year, General Kelly was forced to deny he had called Mr. Trump an idiot. This came after the quote was included in a book about Mr. Trump by the veteran investigative journalist Bob Woodward. John Kelly is said to have used the description repeatedly, and also allegedly said that it is pointless to try to convince Donald Trump of anything. The president said that Mr. Mulvaney has done an outstanding job while in the administration. I look forward to working with him in this new capacity as we continue to make America great again. He tweeted, I am pleased to announce that Mick Mulvaney, director of the Office of Management Budget, will be named acting White House Chief of Staff, replacing General John Kelly, who has served our country with distinction. Mick has done an outstanding job while in the administration. End of Twitter post by @Real Donald Trump. Friday is announcement ends. Phase of speculation about the new White House Chief of Staff, one of the most prestigious jobs in Washington. While the president has the final say on policy, the Chief of Staff wields incredible informal power and influence. The BBC's Anthony Zurcher in Washington says Nigeria's military has revoked its earlier decision to suspend activities of the insurgency agency Unicef in the northeast of the country. The military said this came after extensive deliberations during emergency talks with Unicef officials. Earlier on Friday, the army had accused the agency of spying for Islamist militants in the rest of the region. Millions of people displaced by the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast are dependent on humanitarian aid. In a statement, the army said that it had lifted a 3-month ban on UNICEF, its operations. It said that during the meeting it urged UNICEF representatives to ensure they share information with relevant authorities whenever induction or training of new staff is being conducted. The statement came just hours after the military had accused the agency of spying for Islamists. UNICEF staff train and deploy spies who support the insurgents and their sympathizers. The army said these were unwelcome practices that could further jeopardize the fight against terrorism and insurgency. It added, this is not the first time the army has taken dramatic action against the agency. In April, the military declared 3 UNICEF workers persona non grata following leaked allegations of sexual abuse by Nigerian soldiers. That decision was also swiftly reversed. Nigeria's northeast has been devastated by a decade-long insurgency by Boko Haram and its splinter group, Islamic State West Africa. More than 30,000 people have been killed and many more driven from their homes. A dedicated special forces soldier has been charged with an Afghan man's murder, which he reportedly admitted while applying for a job with the CIA. A Stormy Green Beret Major Matthew Goldstein allegedly shot someone he described as a suspected Taliban bomb maker during his 2010 deployment. Matt Goldstein also subsequently spoke about the incident during an interview with Fox News. He denies the charge and maintains he did not violate rules of engagement. A Stormy Special Operations Command spokesman, Lt. Lauren Hymer, said in a statement, Major Matthew Goldstein, his immediate commander, has determined that sufficient evidence exists to warrant the preferral of charges against him. Matt Goldstein's lawyer, Phil Stackhouse, told us media he would be relentless in defending his client from the charges, which he was notified of on Thursday. Major Goldstein is a humble servant leader who saved countless lives, both American and Afghan, and has been recognized repeatedly for his valorous actions, Mr. Stackhouse said. He was a captain during his 2010 deployment, when his heroism won him a Silver Star. The Army Times reports the award was later upgraded to the Distinguished Service Cross, the nation's second highest award for valor. During Major Goldstein's time there, 2 Marines from his unit were killed by a booby-tracked bomb. In 2011, he took a routine lie detector test during an interview process for a job with the CIA. He allegedly told interviewers that on 22 February 2010 he and another soldier had taken an alleged Taliban bomb maker off base, shot him, and buried his remains, reports NBC News. The admission led the Army Criminal Investigation Command to investigate Major Goldstein in 2011. In April 2014, he got off with an official reprimand because of lack of evidence. 2 years later, Major Goldstein spoke on a Fox News special report titled How We Fight about how he killed the suspected bomb maker. He told the anchor he shot the man because he was concerned he would kill Afghan informants if released. A congressman sided with Major Goldstein, writing a letter to the Army Secretary to complain about the investigation. Duncan Hunter, a California Republican, called for an end to the retaliatory and vindictive inquiry into a distinguished and well-regarded Green Beret. Major Goldstein was placed on leave, but has since been recalled to active duty. According to Army Times, he is charged with premeditated murder, which carries a possible death penalty. An investigation has been launched after a 7-year-old girl died while in the custody of the U.S. Border Patrol. The Guatemalan child, named as Shaking in Colombian, was detained last week after crossing the U.S.-Mexico border with her father, officials say. It was earlier reported that she died of dehydration, but border officials insist the pair had access to food and water while they were in detention. A government watchdog will investigate before releasing a final report. The death of the girl has but renewed focus on President Donald Trump's hardline immigration policy and on to the migrants who are traveling from Central America to the U.S. border. The migrants say they are fleeing persecution, poverty, and violence in their home countries. Many say they are aiming to settle in the U.S. despite warnings that anyone found entering the country illegally will face deportation, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP). The girl was apprehended with her father for illegally entering the country on the evening of 6 December. She was then screened and found to have no health issues. It says she was held in a location that had food, water, and toilets before she was loaded onto a bus with her father, ahead of a
94 151千米
journey to the nearest border patrol station. But the girl began vomiting while on the bus, officials say, and later stopped breathing. When the bus arrived at the border patrol station, she received emergency medical attention and was revived twice before being flown to hospital in El Paso. According to the COP, it says she died there after suffering a cardiac arrest and was diagnosed with brain swelling and liver failure. Border Patrol agents did everything in their power to provide emergency medical assistance. CBP Commissioner Kevin K. McLennan said in a statement, "We welcome the Department of Homeland Security's investigation and will review the incident operationally to learn from this tragedy." He added, some Democrats have called for resignations over the incident, while others, including former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, have said it is part of a humanitarian crisis on the border. It's been running high since the arrival of almost 700
500
migrants in recent weeks. Last month, as border agents used tear gas on a crowd of migrants, including children, trying to cross the border, the agents said that personnel had been assaulted and hit by stones. However, critics accused the Trump administration of a draconian response, while Mexico demanded an investigation into the incident. The migrants have traveled in large groups, dark caravans, for more than 400 km from Central America. Among them are many families with young children. Donald Trump has vowed to keep each migrant on the Mexican side of the border until courts have decided their cases, meaning some face a long wait. They have been spending time in temporary shelters in the Mexican border city of Tijuana and New Mexico,
180千米
to the east.